POV. You are Marcus Aurelius Varro, Roman tax collector, year 274 AD. Your job is simple: collect taxes for the empire. But lately, something feels wrong. Last month, a farmer paid you in a coin that was 90% silver. This month, the same coin is 5% silver. You can scratch the surface with your fingernail, and the silver just flakes off. The empire didn't announce this. There was no warning. The coins look the same. They feel almost the same. But everyone knows something has changed. And you, Marcus, you have to look these people in the eyes. Farmers, merchants, soldiers, widows, and collect taxes in coins that are worth less every single week. This is not just your story. This is how the greatest empire in human history quietly destroyed itself from the inside. And nobody noticed until it was too late. To understand what you are watching, you need to understand one thing. Rome had a spending problem. Wars, armies, bureaucrats, emperors with enormous palaces, and even more enormous egos. By the 2nd century AD, Rome had over 400,000 soldiers to pay, and the bill kept growing. So what did Rome do? The same thing every desperate government does. They printed money. Except Rome didn't have a printing press. They had something worse. They had a melting pot. Here is how it worked. Take a silver coin, the denarius. Under Emperor Augustus, it was 98% pure silver. Then Nero came along and said, what if it was 90%? People didn't notice. Tax revenue went up. Then the next emperor said, what if it was 80%? Still fine, still working. Then 70%, then 50%, then 30%. By the time you, Marcus the tax collector, are doing your job in 274 AD, the denarius is 5% silver. A bronze coin wearing a silver costume. And you are collecting hundreds of them per day. The twist? Prices didn't wait for permission to rise. A sack of grain that cost 6 denarii under Augustus now costs 200 denarii. Not because grain got rarer, but because the money got worthless. Let us get back inside your POV. It is dawn. You walk through the market in a provincial town. A bread seller sees you coming and immediately raises his price. Not because he is greedy, because yesterday he accepted 20 denarii for a loaf, and by evening, those 20 denarii couldn't buy the flour to make the next loaf. This is what historians call a price-wage spiral. Sellers raise prices because they know the money will be worth less tomorrow. Workers demand higher wages because everything costs more today, and the government prints more coins to pay those wages, which makes everything cost even more tomorrow. Rome was stuck in a loop it had built for itself. Now here is your problem as a tax collector. The emperor has set fixed tax amounts in coin. 100 denarii from this farmer, 500 from this merchant. But 100 denarii this year is worth half what it was last year. So Rome's actual income is collapsing. The solution? Collect more coins. But people don't have more coins. So you collect in kind: grain, livestock, labor, goods. You show up at a farm with armed guards. You take 3 sheep, 2 sacks of grain, and a cart of olive oil. The farmer's wife is crying, his children are watching, and you write it down in your ledger: tax paid. This is called the Anona system. And it was a sign that money itself had broken down. When a government stops trusting its own currency, you know something is very, very wrong. Meanwhile, soldiers are noticing too. Legions are refusing to march until their pay is increased. Generals are bribing armies with promises of higher wages and loot. Between 235 and 284 AD, just 50 years, Rome had over 50 different emperors, most of them assassinated by the very soldiers they were trying to pay. You, Marcus the tax collector, have seen 3 emperors in the last 5 years. Each one promised reform. Each one debased the coin a little more to fund their promises. Each one was dead within 2 years. Here is where it gets interesting. Emperor Diocletian comes to power in 284 AD. He looks at the chaos and says, "Enough." He does something remarkable. He issues the Edict on Maximum Prices, the world's first government price control. Hundreds of goods, thousands of prices, all fixed by imperial decree. Grain, this much. Wine, this much. A lawyer's fee, this much. A teacher's salary, exactly this much, and not a coin more. On paper, genius. In reality, disaster. Merchants looked at the fixed prices and did the math. They couldn't sell at those prices and survive. So they stopped selling publicly. Goods vanished from markets overnight. Black markets exploded. Farmers hoarded grain rather than sell at a loss. City populations started going hungry, not because there was no food, but because the law made selling food unprofitable. And you, Marcus the tax collector, you are now enforcing a law that is actively starving the people you are taxing. The penalty for selling above the fixed price? Death. People were executed for charging too much for a loaf of bread. While emperors continued debasing the coin, that made bread expensive in the first place. This is the twist that history keeps repeating. The people who cause a crisis are rarely the ones who suffer from it. The solutions they create often hurt the people they claim to protect. Diocletian's edict eventually collapsed under the weight of reality. Nobody could enforce it. Goods kept disappearing. The black market became the real market, and the empire kept declining. Marcus Aurelius Varro, your fictional tax collector, retires in 301 AD. He has spent his career collecting taxes for 5 different emperors. He has watched the silver drain from coins, like blood from a wound. He has taken grain from families who couldn't afford to eat. He has enforced laws that made no sense, written by men who never visited a market. In his last entry in his ledger, he writes, "We have run out of things to tax and ways to pretend the money is real." Now here's the question that should unsettle you. The Roman denarius went from 98% silver to 5% in about 250 years. The US dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power since 1913. Not through war, not through plague, through the same quiet, invisible mechanism Rome used. Small reductions, repeated endlessly, until the damage is irreversible. You are not watching a history video about Rome. You are watching a mirror. The question is not whether this has happened before. The question is, at what point in the story are we living right now? Are we in year 100 AD, the Golden Age, confident and expanding? Or are we in year 274 AD, the coin's already hollow, the cracks already showing, and a tax collector somewhere writing in a ledger that nobody wants to read? Stories survive forever. Rome did not. Think about that.